up and welcome, I'm the one and only West Coast King, and welcome back to another Major League 90 where we're talking Major League Soccer. I know, the second one this week, but so much big stuff has happened in the middle of this week that I had to do another episode of this before the weekend hits and we get more games played. So, last time, we talked about the situation in Columbus, and there's been some more developments there. I think the day after I put that episode out talking about Kamara and Higuain going at it and just the dysfunction in Columbus, the day after that episode went out, they sold Kamara. Well, technically, because you can't sell players within the MLS, they traded Kamara for money, which means they sold him. I don't know what the technical terms are in the MLS. It's just ridiculous. But either way, Kamara is gone from Columbus, one of the top goal scorers in the league. And obviously, they're some team looking for major goal scoring help, a team that's good defensively, just short of maybe a striker here that could really put them over the top, is looking for that type of a player, you know? Somebody that just needs a striker is going to go get him, right? Nope. He went to New England. The worst defensive team in the league has picked up yet another striker. A team that already boasts the striking capabilities of Agudelo and Davies now has Kamara as well. What the hell? Now, I mentioned New England last episode as well, talking about they are the kings of the draw, so maybe a top goal scorer. They're already a pretty middle of the road scoring team. They're not bad, I would say, at scoring goals. They're pretty much on average for the MLS. So I'm guessing their thought process behind that was, let's bring in a big striker and just try to flat out outscore teams. An American football equivalent of the Colts back in the glory days of Peyton Manning. We're not going to play defense. We're not going to stop anything. We're just going to try to flat out outscore teams. I don't actually understand how that's going to possibly work. This sport does not really do that well. It's very difficult to just go out and score goals. It's much easier said than done. I just don't see how this is going to work. On the field, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I would have much rather seen them go for defensive help, become a more balanced team, and try to win that way rather than just overloading offensively and trying to just flat out blow teams out of the water. On the field, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, off the field, you've got problems as well. Kamara is a player that's known to be a problem to coach and a teammate that hasn't really been on the same page as the other players in the locker room on teams that he's been on. And now you've got two proven players in Agudelo and Davies there that are now looking at this situation like, what's going on? What are we doing? What happened here? Why did you bring in Kamara? So, I mean, it creates problems, I think, on the field, off the field. I don't understand this move at all from New England. Let's just say it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off. As for the situation now left in Columbus, you've got a team that, if you remember correctly, hosted the MLS Cup final last season, and it's a team that's built around getting up the wings with Finley and Miram and crossing the ball in to Kamara. That's how they get their goals. They're very good at that. Well, they worked very good at that last season. Hasn't worked out so well this season, but still, Kamara's a great goal scorer. They don't have that now. Who is going to step in for Columbus? Honestly, I don't have the answer. I do not have an answer for that one. Again, I know Columbus was forced into this situation, and it really puts them behind the 8 ball now that they don't have him. Honestly, I don't know where they go from here. I would say that, at least for this season, I don't know if Columbus is going to be a playoff team. I really doubt it. When you lose a top goal scorer like that, you don't recover right away unless you have some kind of a plan intact and put in place and ready to roll. They don't. This was forced on them, and now they don't have a plan. So, unfortunately, I would have to say rip Columbus for this season. I picked them to finish first in the Eastern Conference before the season started. I did not foresee the dysfunction with that team, and it really sucks to see that happen to them. It's really disappointing for that team and for the MLS. A good team like that, it sucks to see them fall on hard times like this, but I'm sure that they'll recover eventually. It just might not be this season. Alright, so now that we got all the doom and gloom out of the way with the Columbus situation, let's move on to a subject that has a lot of people excited, we could say. This story has been kind of circulating for months now, and it always seems so outrageous and unlikely that it got put on the back burner. A lot of people just kind of forgot about it, just wrote it off as another one of those stories of a big name player wanting to come to the MLS, but it's probably never going to happen. And that is that Ibrahimovic somehow, inexplicably, has his sights set on the MLS. And again, like I said, it just seems like one of those stories so outrageous that it couldn't possibly happen. But now a new story is coming out saying that he is 90% more likely to choose LA Galaxy than Manchester United. Now, if you look at that carefully, 90% more likely, not 90% likely, not that he's 90% set on choosing LA, but the fact that he's more likely and that much more likely to choose the MLS rather than a bigger team in Europe is very, very promising. Now, let's just break that down just a little bit, just that situation of itself. Zlatan, at 33 years old, is still a top striker in the world. Any team would be lucky to have him, especially a team like Manchester United, who could use a world-class striker. As much as I love Rashford out there, he's doing great things for them, he's still very young and very raw. Putting a proven world-class goal scorer in that team would elevate them surely to a Champions League berth next season, because somehow they can't even get that done in the Premier League. So adding Zlatan would be huge for them, and that's just not going to happen. Now, Zlatan going to LA Galaxy. Fair enough. I understand why that team was brought up. LA Galaxy have a very big reputation for bringing in those big players to LA. They brought in Beckham, Gerrard. I mean, they just have a reputation for being able to do those sorts of things. However, within the rules of the MLS, you're allowed 3 designated players, which means you can get 3 players that exceed the salary cap. You're allowed to go outside of the salary cap to get these big players in order for the league itself to prosper from those big names being within the league. However, LA Galaxy have 3 designated players. They have Steven Gerrard, they have Robbie Keane, and they have Gio Dos Santos. Within the rules, right as they currently stand, the LA Galaxy can't get Zlatan unless they move one of those big players, which is very unlikely to happen unless they sell them outside of the MLS, because I don't think those players would be willing to go somewhere else within the MLS. So the red tape that's involved with the LA Galaxy right now means it's probably not likely that Zlatan could end up at LA, at least not this season. Now, that being said, the league has a history of somehow finding a way for the LA Galaxy to get the big players. When they brought in Beckham, there was no designated player rule in place to allow teams to go outside of the salary cap. They were set with a salary cap. You could not exceed it. Suddenly, David Beckham was rumored to go to LA Galaxy. We got the designated player rule. Beckham's at LA. Okay, so then a little bit later, last year to be specific, I think it was last year, the LA Galaxy already had their designated players, didn't have the money to bring in anyone else. Suddenly, Gio Dos Santos is rumored to be going to LA, or rumored to be interested in going to LA. We got that targeted allocation money, whatever the... I'm not going to try to explain those rules. It's just, we got another new rule that allowed LA to bring in another big name player. So, I would say that it's within the realm of possibility, especially given the status and stature of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, that we could get another new rule out of the blue from the MLS to allow the LA Galaxy to get him. I really think that would be, as much as I would love to be able to see Zlatan play live and be in the MLS, that would greatly upset the balance in the MLS. Throwing Zlatan onto that team would create the thing that the MLS has tried to avoid the most, which is a team that is unbeatable, that is clearly the top team in the league. And I don't think that they would be willing to do that. Even for the LA Galaxy, and even for Zlatan, I don't think that would happen. So, if he's not going to LA, why not speculate on some teams that could use Zlatan Ibrahimovic? Clearly, every team in the league could, but teams that are possible for Zlatan to go to. Let's see. Let's play this out a little bit here, okay? So we're looking at a team that's a reputation for winning. Obviously, it's got to be a winner. A team that is probably pretty good defensively, maybe just lacking that striker needed to put them over the top. And obviously, you're going to need a team that has a designated player spot available. What team could possibly be looking for a player like that? Allow me to make my case for the one and only Seattle Sounders here, okay? Yes, they have a designated player spot available. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league this year. They are just struggling mightily to score goals, relying heavily on the young Jordan Morris. Imagine the Sounders going back to their favorite 4-4-2, but not a flat 4-4-2 as we've seen in the past. A 4-1-2-1-2 wide diamond. You got Ozzy sitting in there behind the back four. You've got, I can't remember his name. You got Ivan Schitz out there on the left. You got anyone playing the right, whether it's Nelson Valdez or Roldan or anyone out there on the right. And then you've got Dempsey sitting in there behind a front two made up of Zlatan and Jordan Morris. Some lightning and some thunder right up there at the top. The power of Zlatan combined with the lightning fast speed of Jordan Morris. Oh my god, I'm getting moist just thinking about it. It's a freaking dream come true. It probably won't happen. Again, the likelihood of Zlatan even going to the MLS, I'd say there's probably, what, 5% chance that it actually happens? Even less so that it happens this year. I think he's probably still got 2 or maybe 3 years left in Europe somewhere where he can really make an impact, and then we might see him move over to the MLS. And at that point, the LA Galaxy might have a spot for him. So, you know, it's unlikely that it happens this summer. I would love to see it happen this summer, and I would absolutely die if he ended up in the Rave Green, but, you know, those are pipe dreams at this point. I really don't think that's going to happen, but again, it would be absolutely incredible if it did. So that is it for this one. That's all I got to talk about. Just a rather short episode, though I feel like I rambled on forever. I mean, when you're talking about Zlatan and the prospect of him coming to the MLS, you kind of need to just go with it, all right? Just live the dream for a moment, and I did. So I pardon how long this episode may have gone on for, but either way, let me know what your thoughts are, comments, feedback down in the comments below, what you think of the situation with Kamara and New England and Columbus now, and also the prospect of someone in the MLS landing Zlatan. So that's going to be it for this one. If you did enjoy it, make sure to let me know by leaving a like below, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you when we come back for some more Major League 90. See ya.